All right. Hello and welcome. This is my first recording in probably about 6 months. This is the professor. This is what I have to say about the Jordan Peterson piece in the Chronicle of Higher Education. Yesterday I read the piece in the Chronicle of Higher Education with title something like "Why is Jordan Peterson Dangerous?" The truth of the matter is this man is not dangerous except to the academic orthodoxy. As someone who works in academia, I can tell you there are some very strict rules, both written and unwritten, some deeply held beliefs, and Jordan Peterson has had the unmitigated gall to challenge some of those beliefs. First and foremost, he is a speaker. He is a man with charisma. Now, you may think he's a kind of just a regular plain guy, but he's willing to get it out there. His message is out there. He is willing to engage. He draws you in as a speaker. This flies in the face of the staid tradition of the academy. This staid tradition is one in which the speaker is reserved and all points are run through committee and peer review, etc., etc. Academia is based on the bully pulpit, where information comes from top down, inside out. The speakers are at the apex of the pyramid, and all information, all knowledge and wisdom flows through them. It is predicated on pontificating from behind the lectern. Much as the Pope is the apex of the church, the professor is the apex of the academic setting. What Jordan Peterson has done is take his message out of the classroom and taken it to the people. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. This charisma that I spoke of gets to our next point of breaking the model. And as I mentioned, the traditional academic model is top down, inside out. What Peterson has done is very much self-reflection. In his books, in his videos, he openly discusses moments of crisis where he has doubted himself or even changed his beliefs. Peterson has democratized content and democratized expertise. He's disseminated the tools from the classroom to the people. He's broken that top-down, inside-out mold to where you can find him on YouTube, you can find him on social media. He is not locked away in an office or a lecture hall on a campus. He is no longer a limited commodity. And by extension, academia is no longer a limited commodity. And there's something to be said for scarcity, for rarity. It's how academics value themselves. It's a way that they hold themselves in esteem. So with Jordan Peterson sharing his tools and his content, he not only forces himself to self-reflect, but others to reflect as well and think about, is this content meaningful? He puts it out there. He puts himself at risk. You could reject the message. You could reject the model. You could reject his expertise. And academics traditionally don't like that. And if you're willing to challenge him, who's out there on your TV, on your social media, on your computer, then you might be more likely to challenge someone in a classroom. Next is a topic that might get me in trouble, and these are the topics I enjoy the most. The gods of enrollment and retention. The modern college, the modern university worships at the altar of enrollment and retention. It's all about getting students in, keeping them there, and yes, answering to a financial bottom line. What Peterson has done, and this is the most damnable offense among academics, is openly said to people and shown them college may not be for you. Not just his college, not just his class. College in general may not be for you or may not be for you right now. He draws attention also away from universities, and they don't like to admit this, but I've actually got it underlined in my notes here. Competition. Every university likes to think of themselves at the apex. And what Jordan Peterson has done is recognize the strata in academia. There are different layers to this. Harvard and Princeton and Yale are a different strata from big state university or non-coastal private university. And those are a different strata from medium-sized town state university campus. For example, if you're in Illinois, you may be thinking of, SIU Edwardsville. There's a whole family of Southern Illinois universities, but one of them happens to be in Edwardsville, which is smaller. And they are certainly, the SIU campuses are not on the same strata as the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. There are different strata. The small town university is on a different level than the even smaller town campus extension, or the medium-sized city tech school, or the really small commuter college. They're all different layers, and they all serve different populations. And Peterson rips the curtains away and exposes it, like the professor or the Wizard of Oz in the movie. You've got the man behind the curtain, and he rips back the covering, exposing what lies underneath. Not all colleges and universities are created equally. Not all colleges and universities serve the same population. Harvard, great school, may not be right for you. There are just as many reasons not to attend Harvard as there are for you to attend Harvard. If you want to go to school for natural resources, fisheries, wildlife ecology, there's probably a small school in Wisconsin that's way better for that than Harvard might be. And Peterson challenges you to find the best fit. Just because Harvard has the biggest name doesn't mean it's the best institution. So this bit about enrollment and retention, if you pull students away from college or your college, that's damning. Telling students that universities may not be right for them, that the right path for them may be tech school or an apprenticeship or even the military. That takes money out of their pockets. And all those schools need to request funding, and that funding has to be spent, and they need to justify their expenses. So there's this financial whirlwind that kind of dissociates itself from the pure motives of traditional education. Some of the great thinkers and teachers, I'm sure Socrates and Plato, would probably be aghast at just the amount of money tied up in education today. Peterson challenges the tradition of the academy. I touched on this earlier. One of the things the Chronicle piece hit on was his Patreon and making money. And I'm going to call it what it is. It's jealousy. Anytime an academic makes money outside of academics, whether it be books, movies, appearances, whether it's selling wares, consulting, whatever it is, people get jealous. They call you a sellout. You're supposed to be in that rigid tradition and living for the academy and living for the pursuit of knowledge. Peterson has done well for himself. More power to him. I think he deserves it. No one else put his lectures out there. He did something few others were doing. He put the resource out there. He put the commodity into the market, and people accepted the commodity and were willing to pay for it. But the traditional academic sees that as somehow sullying the waters. And the Chronicle piece made sure to point out, how much money Peterson makes through his Patreon, and now talking about book sales. He did it. No one else did it. That's how capitalism works. He has a vision that he is pursuing, and he's secured the funding. That's how this works. But this breaks from the tradition. See, knowledge is to be contained. Big thoughts are supposed to be kept in the quiet hallways, in secluded lounges, in faculty rooms and meeting halls where the wise can converse amongst themselves. It is not supposed to be released to the public, and certainly not for free. The unwashed masses are not supposed to consume and interpret for themselves. They're supposed to come to the fountainhead and be nourished. And Peterson has broken that model. Finally, and as I think about this, and this is my second time recording this, thanks audio issues, Peterson has broken the circles of leadership. He has broken open the thought police, I guess you could call it. He is no longer confined to academic circles where everything must be peer-reviewed and juried and filtered and edited and carefully managed, even at the microscopic level. He has associated himself with other thought leaders, expanding the discussion and bringing discourse to the masses. You've got folks like Dave Rubin, who identifies as a classic liberal and invites people from all across the socio-political spectrum onto his show. You have folks from CRTV, such as Gavin McGinnis and Stephen Crowder, who have some very different views, but yet bring them to the masses and cultivate a following. You have folks like Owen Benjamin, who is labeled as a comedian, but is really becoming a thought leader and challenging people to explore what is good and what is right in their lives, what it means to be part of a family, both a biological family as well as a community in this digital age. And what people like Jordan Peterson do, they expand the circle, they increase the discussion, they bring more people into the circle. So if you're someone like me who works from home or just spends a lot of time on a computer, you fall into it. As a lot of people have done, maybe you hear about something Stephen Crowder has done. So you watch his show. Then you get exposed to a guest like a Jordan Peterson or a Mark Levin or an Owen Benjamin. Or, in this case, you start watching Crowder, then you start watching Owen Benjamin, then you see that he has Jordan Peterson on, then you see an event that Jordan Peterson appears on, maybe you end up following Christina Hoff Sommers, and before you know it, you've got all these really smart people, but they're not coming to you through books. They're coming to you through this. They're coming to you through your computer, through your smartphone, and they're enriching your lives and they're making you think. And it's not this limited access, old school version of pay-per-view that is traditional academia. I, for one, welcome it. I'm always looking for suggestions. If you think there's somebody I should follow, by all means, share. And I hope you enjoy this. Comments are always welcome. Thanks a bunch.